Well, Bruce, now I've got all your dash out of here, out of the Explorer, and your column out, and now you can see how this is starting to fit. I've got this at my 24 inches. I made me some little brackets and kind of held it in place. Then I went and I measured from the center of the wheel on the Woody and measured forward to where the dash is in the Woody. Then I took the center of the wheel line in the Explorer, measured forward, put the dash at that exact, I think it was 88 inches, and then measured up 24 inches, and then that tells me how much of this I'm going to be able to keep. And it's looking like it's going to be amazingly good fit. So it also is showing me where I measured where the firewall was in the Woody. So it's looking like I'll be able to keep all this air conditioner stuff. I'm just going to come right up here. I won't even have to take the windshield out of this. I'll just split it right up the side, right above all the air conditioner and pedals and stuff. I'll have to fabricate you a new steering bracket for that under here. I'll do something with your radio and console here and put the shifter back in it. That'll be real nice. Drop right down the edge, and then the end of this floor, I'm going to cut it to where the edge of the floor is actually the bolster. So I'll cut into the rocker panel all the way down the top on the top. Then I'll cut it down the bottom. That'll put me a little end cap and a real solid structure for the floor. And then take this body off in one piece, and it'll still have the fenders, the hood, the windshield, everything in this piece. And we should be able to sell that and do something with that. So I'm going to do a little more whittling here, and I'm going to go to the engine bay, and I'm going to start removing everything out there where I'm going to do my cut. Then I'll get my plasma cutter in here and cut this baby apart, pull this off, and then all we'll have is a running gear and air conditioner and all that in there. Now, up here on my engine bay, I've got a pretty good path laid out. It looks like if I remove all this stuff down this fender well, and then my radiator and all this stuff down this fender well, then I can drop down below this windshield. I don't have to take any of this loose, drop down below this landing, which is just above my air conditioner and heater hoses and all that, and I'll just take my plasma cutter and slice it all the way down through there. Then I'll slice off my wheelhouse, my inner wheelhouse right down through here, and then I'll leave all this front end, all this front on here, and this thing's just going to come right off in one great big piece. Or at least that's the plan. Well, I'm working on getting my path cleared out to do my front cut. And as I'm laying out my path, I'm planning how I'm going to attach it back to the Woody. I went ahead and took out all the police wiring for all the lights and stuff they had added. And over here is a lot of my front end parts and my other front end parts. Now there's the radiator. So what I was talking about, some of the upgrades they order in some of these police vehicles, pretty much everything is the biggest, heaviest duty, oil coolers, trans coolers. Look how big the fan is in it. So it's always good to try to get one of these if you can find them. And then inside here, I'm working on my path around. So it's coming along. I got stuff scattered everywhere. Just a little bit of a mess. But I'm making good headway on the Explorer. Alright, now Jeff has got all this cleared out inside and out, and the doors off and the tailgate off, and now we're down to the nitty-gritty of what we're going to use here. So I've got my crayon, and I'm going to come back in here to where I got some good metal and cut everywhere I got marked all the way around. I'm going to go right up the kick panel, right over the top, down and around, and right before we get it completely cut loose, we're going to weld some supports in it from side to side, one in it from front to rear, side to side, and crossways. And I'm going to try to get them up high enough so that we can do all of our work we got to do around the bottom. And then I'm going to call C&L Blasting to come over here, and they're going to come here and blast this for us. And then we'll put it in epoxy, and then we'll start rebuilding this sheet metal on this part. And while we're doing that, then we're going to get back over here on the Explorer and make the cut on it. Now in the Explorer here, if I get this hatch open, I've got it completely stripped the same way, and I've been doing some measuring from my back center line of the wheels, forward to the dash on both of them, and I set that dash in there and seen what I had to have right there, and so I know where I'm going to cut it, and it's looking like it's going to be extremely close, so we're marking it out to cut it the same way all the way around. And then we'll get it off of here and then slip that body back over this one and start piecing it back together. Well, I've been doing a lot of measuring, and Jeff has been doing a lot of cutting. And he's went in here and put in all these supports, which I'll show you a little closer here in a minute, that we can work off of and actually hold and support this thing the way we need it. And now Jeff's got it cut loose, and come on up with it, Jeff.
been a long time since those two were apart.
And now she's all apart. We're going to get this cleaned up, and we'll get this blasted, and we'll start doing some fabricating and get her put back together. But let me give you a little closer look at what the inside of all this structure we put in here is. You can see we put in some pretty strong supports. I made this out of pretty stout, thick wall, 1-inch square tubing, because we're going to lift off of this, off of the body of our Explorer. We've got them good and level. We're using them actually to pick this thing up and hoist it up as it is now. And so just keep in mind, keep those good and straight, make them really strong. Then in the front, we've added 2 up front here that is holding the front of this up where it needs to be. Now the bottom of it, we're going to cut a lot of this off, so I'll put these in there in a way to where we can leave these, do all of our work around the floor, then I can come back in here and tune it. We actually made this out of 2 pieces, so when we set the door, I'll be able to extend and contract that to make my door fit just exactly where it needs to go. Then I'll weld that back in place, and then we'll start building all this back together. And then we're going to go to the Explorer, and we're going to cut it out the same way, and I'll show you how that looks and how it comes along when we start cutting and take it apart. But check out how the running gear looks out here. This is funny looking at it. Thank goodness we don't have to do anything to this. All I got to do this is drag this outside and get rid of it. So let's get to work on the Explorer.